Maya said, I think Raquel mentors an environmental club at St. Rose's.
Yeah.
Can she tell us about this and how alumni can help and how other schools can start?
I don't really mentor them. I actually put somebody, an Old Roses student, in touch to mentor them, but that person has since also had expanded family, so she wasn't able to give as much. But I think they're continuing some work. But I think what we need to do is that in every school, I think we need an environmental club. And the idea I had, and I got some university students at a time to sign on to it. We just need to link up with the ministry in a coordinated way and get it done. Is to have a UG student, science student or environmental student mentor the club, the kids. So you have youth on youth peer and well, older youth mentoring younger youth, and they would be more engaged. I think they would have more ideas, but also teaching youth. My idea is that, what, it's not just handing them money and so on. They have to go and do fundraising to go on these trips. So when I was at school, we had to do fundraising to do various things. So you teach children that it's not a but handout. But to go to these areas, it costs money. And how do you get there is that you go and beg, ask, sell whatever you have to sell to get the funds and to raise the funds to go to some of these areas through corporate sponsorship, donors, and so on. Talking to some of these areas to give discounts and so on as well. And I think that is something that I would love to explore. If anybody over in the diaspora wants to come on board with me, we can approach. I've spoken to minister about this already, education, and I think she's very willing. So we just need to take it to a level where we could implement it as well.
Karen G in the chat room said, "Girl, talk the things. People need to learn about their country." Maya said, "This is an interesting question for Maya. If there was a program to get every guy and each student to Iwokramo, what would be the cost?" Does this sound familiar?
Yes, we have, but the thing is, we have tourist costs and we have costs for students and researchers. Obviously, we realize that researchers can't pay the cost, and students can't pay the cost of a tourist, so we do have special packages for that. But it's still quite expensive. So, like, let me give you the cheapest transport. The cheapest way to get to Iwokrama on transport, to hire a minibus, it would cost 660. I'm going to talk in US. 660 US to hire a minibus. That's 11 people. So 60 US per person one way. So it's 120. That's one way, right? To fly, it's more expensive. To hire a 4x4 vehicle with holding about 4 or 5 persons, that's 500 US. Transport is expensive, right? But once you get there, and for students, we could work out a package for them. But that is why you need to get the donor funding, because Iokrama cannot take that on. We just can't afford it to pay for transp for kids to come, and they have to raise that money, right? So that's just to give you an idea of some of the costs. And transport is expensive in Guyana. So it's 120 US if you're going on bus, return.
Do you have
Right?
any advice for students interested in pursuing careers in science or conservation?
My advice to all students and all who want to pursue, and this goes for every field, is to pursue what you love. And science, conservation is and even dealing with sustainable use is a fantastic career. It takes you all around the world. It can take you. Let me rephrase. It can take you all around the world. I've actually been fortunate to travel many places because of work, conferences, workshops, a number of these things. And the experiences you get with traveling and seeing other places, you can't pay for that, in a sense. Experiencing new cultures and also learning about other countries and how they manage their resources and so on.
I
It's
want
a
to
great career choice.
I want to get in a question about your activism. Is there a particular issue that or cause that you are very passionate about?
Well, I'm very concerned about human rights issues in general, though,
Mm-hmm.
the it's, though it sounds very cliche, domestic violence and so on.
Uh,
But there's one particular issue that concerns me, and that I saw we were a group of me, a group of my friends. We saw that it wasn't really being addressed directly, and we decided to form an NGO called Citizens Against Rape. So that is one of the platforms that I personally, with my colleagues, have now started working on. We have a lot of work to do. We've just really now starting. So we have a lot of work to do, but a lot of people and a lot of I want to commend all the other organizations that have been working with domestic violence for years, Help and Shelter, Red Thread, CADVA. There are many other organizations, S4 Foundation that have been working in these areas, but none was specifically. Some may have been dealing with rape, but none specifically addressing rape.
what?
So there are things that we would like to do, including more research, because they all, people always ask for evidence and for stats and so on. I also would like to recognize some research that the Guyana GHRA, Human Rights Association, they also did a very important study a few years ago on this aspect, which they found that only 1% of cases that go to court end in convictions. It's a very serious issue. And what is even more serious is that most people that are raped by people they know and trust, and often in their own homes, contrary to what many people think. So, this whole issue about how women dress, get them raped, and so on is utter, it's not true.
What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of my daughter.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
When I was 15, I wasn't so confident. So I would say follow your passion, be yourself, and trust your gut always. Trust your instincts.
What is your favorite place to visit?
Duh.
Okay, you're in Guyana. Oh gosh, this is, oh
But
boy.
it
Iwokram
was
is getting some shameless plugs here tonight. What do you look
but
for? What do you look?
but let me just say the Rupununi is spectacular as well.
Okay.
And Maruka, I think Maruka River, where my friend Minister Carolyn Rodriguez is from, Maruka Village. I think the Maruka River is the most beautiful river in Guyana. Then the Essequibo River, then the Pomeroon River.
Next time I visit Guyana, Sonia and I are coming on a trip.
Sonia,
Yeah,
yes, how long I'm
I
trying to
put her
get
on the
some.
spot
I hope
tonight. Okay,
Sonia's listening.
what do you look forward to doing on weekends?
Weekends is my time with my daughter
Mm-hmm.
and husband, family. It's family time.
Looking
So,
back,
you know,
yeah,
that is like my family, catching up with friends and doing nice stuff and so on. Sometimes I have to work, but that's not very often.
what is one thing that people would be surprised to know about Raquel?
I think people know everything about me. That's the thing. What would be surprised? I think everybody knows I like art and culture because I'm always talking about what will people be surprised about. I like travel. You stumped me. I love music. Oh, jeez.
All right, I'll come back.
Come back. I have to
I'll
really
come back
think
to that.
about
I
that.
want
You
I want to
stumped.
hit the chat room quickly while you think about
One
that.
thing people would be surprised to know, I think, is probably not that positive. I'm a terrible procrastinator, and I don't read enough.
Terrible procrastinator means you don't
Yes,
procrastinate much. Or
I procrastinate a lot,
I'm just messing with you.
and it's bad. Yeah, but I also have not been reading enough, and I love books, but I haven't been reading them. And I
Oh
just want to
gosh.
say this book has been a
Ah,
beautiful book written by Selwyn,
oh
and it's been
shame on
very
me.
inspirational. I'm taking it's very deep, and I really love it, and I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you
But
so much.
also, I'm also trying to read more books by Guyanese authors as well. I made a promise myself that this year I'm focusing on Guyanese authors. So I'm about to read Kuli Woman. My cousin, who did her PhD work on Edgar Metal Halsey, she presented me a book called Sylvia by Edgar Metal Halsey. So I'm going to be reading that. I want to reread a book called They Came Before
Oh, that's
Columbus.
that you should get that.
I have it.
The-
I had it years ago. I read it about 12 years ago and somebody took my copy. But it's sold at Austin's here and I found it again. I'm going to reread it because I was much younger when I read it and I want to reread it now with different eyes. I think every Guyanese should read that book.
I
It's
agree.
from
Let me
Professor Van Sertima. It's about the African and and Amerindian linkages before Columbus came to the New World, and for everybody to understand that indigenous people were here first, and they were here 12,000 years ago, and there is possible that there was communication between Africans and indigenous people way long before
let me
Western
let me go,
civilization hit
let me
here.
go to the chat room quickly.
Yes.
There, Maya said there needs to be a national, excuse me, vision and commitment to getting majority of Guyanese to see the country. Iwakram is such a
Maya,
resource.
let's work on it.
It is such a resource. It should be integrated with curriculum. A mining tax. Oh, I love this. I love this. A mining tax could cover costs. I love this, Maya. Believe you me, I love that.
I,
Sean,
I agree with her.
and
But
Sean's.
I would like to, I would, it's something I would love to help with from what level I can work at a technical level. I'm not a politician, but I'm willing to work with anybody that's willing to make a change and help our youth because the youth are our future. I know Maya's committed to that, and even her sister, Dr. Alyssa Truss, and many other people are committed to it. It's just to make it happen. And I think a lot of Guyanese abroad don't know how to help. And I just want to say to all my Guyanese abroad, just educate a child. If you feel helpless, just educate a child. And if you don't know who, just contact me. I will point you to some people.
Raquel, the more the more I listen to you, the more I'm saying this conversation with you and Maya has to take place. Anyway, Sean
Yeah.
said, "I like the idea of a club. This can be modeled and can be funneled out of participating schools. The
But there
UG
are people here doing some work, so
the
don't let's say there's nothing
the
happening. I
UG
know
student.
Rotary does mentoring. I know the University of Guyana holds
Let me
career
finish his statement.
sessions and so on. So there are things that are happening that we may not know about. So we also need not let it sound as if nothing is happening. And the ministries are also doing some work as well.
The,
So we also have to give kudos to that
Raquel,
arts and culture and so
there's
on.
another part to his statement. Said the UG student could be earning credits for participating. Sounds good to me.
I think it
I have
sounds
this question.
good.
I have this question I ask. I mean, time time is on us. And I have this question I ask all my guests, Raquel, and you don't escape. What makes you laugh out loud?
Questions like this. Hey, but you know what? I like comedies. I like a great sense of humor. I think that's one of the that's probably why I married my husband. He has a great sense of humor and he could cook.
Oh, I see.
but I but I love people that could make me laugh. I love comedy and so on. I think that you know what I always used to smile a lot when I was at school, even at high school. They used to call me Smile Orange. I don't
Oh,
know why,
really?
but I probably because I used to smile a lot. But I always was a person that grew up being generally happy and contented. I'm not saying I didn't have difficult moments, but I can say I'm happy. I'm contented. Happiness could go and come, but I think once you're contented, I think that's very is very important. But yeah, that question made me laugh.
Well, Raquel, thank you. Thank you so very much. And you have to come back. You have so much to share, as Maya said. And please work on this conversation. I think we're going to do it in the other format, the Sunday evening
Yes.
under CWS as it is with you and
Good. So
Maya.
so we need to touch
Um,
base with Maya and let's plan something.
it will be a group or panel
Let's
discussion or
inspire
something.
the whole Guyana and the whole diaspora to come and not even if they can't come to give back in some way, especially to our young people.
I agree. I agree with that. But
And come and see your country first.
you're such an ambassador, Raquel. Oh my God. You know what? Thank you so very much. I know my audience. I'm going to get some inboxes about the time, but it was a great conversation. I enjoyed it so much. I learned so much here tonight. And yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you very much for
Oh, I
considering
have to say this.
to have me.
I have to say this. I have to say this. I have to remind our audience you are skyping in from Guyana.
Yes,
And
I am.
we had not one single hiccup tonight. Not one.
No.
This is amazing. This is a first. Well, except for when Raffle Trotman was on. But this here is just amazing. I don't know what you did, but thank you.
I think maybe the spirits and the positive energy. No, no, I'm happy that we had good connection. But can I just read one more thing before we leave?
Of course.
We have time?
Sure.
I just wanted to read this. This is a quote that I got from, this is a person called Brendan Burchard. I don't know if you know him. He usually writes inspirational stuff, but he wrote, and this is how I feel about Guyana. I have discovered that I am deeply and hopelessly and ferociously in love with this world. People ask how and why I have become successful, whatever that means. And I suppose that is it. I love this world that we are blessed to live in it. Despite its conflicts and terrors and misfortunes, despite the ugly truth that the lack of consciousness leads too many people to be rude and hurtful, despite all those unfulfilled wishes and prayers that can, and on any given day, soar and gather into gray clouds of despair, the world is, in my view, a delightful spinning mass of sensations and experiences, an orb of energy whose gravity is love, a remarkable, bright, open choice, filled playground for the soul. And this is by Brendan Burchard, and he writes inspirational messages. Live, love, matter. That's where I got that from.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But I think it's very powerful, and I think it really explains how I feel about Guyana. And that's why I will try never to let myself get caught up in a vicious cycle of negativity that I feel that I'm paralyzed not to do, because I have been to a place where I felt paralysis, and I don't want to ever go there again. And I
Well,
think a lot of us need to get ourselves out of those places. We all have something to contribute to this world.
well, thank you for that. And this is Selwyn Collins saying good night. Thanks to the audience. Thank you for tuning in. Good night, and fear not what fear whispers to you. Fear your obedience to it. Good night.
Good night.